Now, before we begin this video, I should mention out that even though originally I was going to talk about maritime history, Mason and I decided to include all bits of history, but it was really exciting to talk about it nonetheless. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that little bit of information and we will jump our way into the video. Welcome to History Inside a Nutshell, the show where we sail into our port of call discussing maritime history. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different because I brought on my friend Mason with me. Mason, hi!
Hello, everyone.
You okay, Mason?
Yeah, I'm doing great, sis. I hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, very good, thanks. Right. This is going to be the challenge then, because we're going to be doing something that we know that you love, Mason, because you have been on my main channel before, but you've never been on my history channel. But I knew that from the second that I wanted to talk about it, I knew you were going to jump on board straight away, Mason, because we're talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah, as you can see, got TARDIS right there. So
got the TARDIS behind the background.
yeah.
And I know that if anyone has been on my main channel before, then they have known Mason. They have known Mason before. Excuse me. They have known Mason before. But Mason, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection with Doctor Who?
To anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Mason. As it says, I have autism and Crohn's, and I like to talk about Doctor Who because it is one of my kind of special interests ever since I was 5, and yeah, I've watched it ever since, and I guess I thought it was going to be maybe a thing that I would grow out of, but I haven't, and it's still going now. With autism, it has a good connection with a lot of people in the autism community, I think, because I found a lot of people that have autism and they like Doctor Who, and it's not just about that, but I guess it's just because I like to do a lot of things about autism and speak to different people, and yeah, I guess you have more, you get more connections as well. But yeah, it's haven't grown out of it as well, hence why we're talking about
it. But I know that even though this is a maritime channel, Doctor Who has have like loads of connections with ships, really, because even though it's the show is based in space, the Doctor and the companions actually travel back in time, and they have traveled back in time to various different places in parts of history, and some of it's very educational as well, because I've learned a lot about history stuff from there. But what I didn't realise is that some of the ships that have been inspired or who are actually featured in the show, they were all based on real ships, even since the old classic era in the 60s, which is quite surprising, because you would probably think it's in the somewhere along the lines, because I know you and me, we both grew up in the David Tennant era, and then we focused on Matt, and then you were Peter Capaldi, and then we were on Jodie Whittaker, and in most like cases, really, with David and Matt, they featured ships that have been inspired by like famous events in history.
Yeah, I think it's one of probably the best things about it. Like they go back in time, and I think that's when you see the best kind of episodes. Like with David Tennant, and Matt Smith as well, and like I think like especially like the ship episodes. I like them when they go underwater and stuff. They are very, very cool.
Even there's so much to talk about, really, but I've been doing like a little bit of digging, and even though it was really hard to look by, there was just some bits that I really found that were interesting in the old classic era, but there were some bits that we both know that we like to talk about, really. But I know that you've got a huge passion of, like, since you have a huge passion for ships, especially going underwater, Mason, but we just wanted to hear your thoughts and opinions about it, just to say what you like about it, who to be featured on. Now we've got a new Doctor and a new companion, but it's very exciting times, especially with Russell T Davies coming back.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Like it's a bit about ships and water. I'd like new kind of things, like because like new kind of stories about like ships. I guess you'll know more about them than me, says, but like just new stories. I guess like I think you've had the Titanic, um you've had other ones. You had one with Matt Smith, which I can't remember the actual cause of it, but I think it was the
Yeah.
Ice Warriors. I think it was the Ice Warriors, and like under the water, they had a Pirates of the Caribbean kind of themed kind of black spot one, which was really good. Um, which I actually went to that location, but the ship moved. So the actual ship that they used moved to a different part of the world. Um, well, I wouldn't say the world. It was about. It's still in England, but a little bit further away to travel. History is the best part of Doctor Who.
Did you know where the ship that was moved to, the other country, or did you not know?
When they told me, I never heard of it. Like I think it was near Bournemouth. Not if I'm correct, it was near Bournemouth way.
Okay, but if it was Bournemouth, it would have made sense actually, given that it's got like the seas and everything. So that would have made perfect sense. And
Yeah, yeah.
normally as well, the studios and all of that, they were filming Cardiff because when you're in Cardiff, it's just mostly land. There's no way there's a beach nearby.
This actual location wasn't actually in Cardiff where it was originally. It was not near Cornwall, so it wasn't in a normal location where they would normally do it in Cardiff, like now by the it's like the prime location Cardiff now, but it's good when they go to other places that are not in Cardiff.
I know that with the expansion bits as well, and I think with Jodie Whittaker's one, I don't know. I've never really seen the full episode, but I know it's a real ship. That's and its captain was a female captain, as far as I know, and that was based on true events. But I don't really know much about it, apart from the other two. But I need to really look into that episode really, because I just think that would be. It's interesting to have a look at a female captain point stuff because you normally don't get to see that at all because all the captains that you've known about in history, they're all male. But with all like the bits and bobs really, I know that there's some bits that I didn't really mention when I did the research, but I wondered with your thoughts on them because we've never watched like the classic Doctor Who era, and most of the episodes have been lost in time, or they've been featured on the audiobooks. But I was actually really surprised when loads of things came up because the first episode that was featured in the old classic Doctor Who era, well, one of the first few episodes in the 60s, apparently the Doctor, the first Doctor, actually landed the TARDIS on the Mary Celeste. And then and it's so like interesting because they had the Daleks on the board as well, and they had like a little war, and that's what it causing everyone to abandon ship, and that's what it was theorized of why the Mary Celeste was deserted.
It's pretty interesting. Like they've released this new thing called ITVX now because there's no ITV Hub anymore. And I went on there and like they actually have all the classic Doctor Who's. Well, most of them anyway, and like you have to pay like a for them, but you don't have to pay for everything on ITVX, but you have to pay for the old Doctor Who's, which are very short. Like they are about half an hour long, not as long as now. I don't know if you wanted to go look and maybe particular ship episodes. I guess you could go on there.
It's really interesting to look at that early part in history, and some of the storylines in the old classic Doctor Who were crazy. Like they were like really crazy when it came to like some of the adventures, and then it was even more confusing in the audio because in the audio books I know that the Lusitania was mentioned, but it wasn't shown, but it was mentioned during the story of how America entered the First World War with the Germans. And
Okay, they did the I think it weren't like a ship. It was like on when Christmas Day, everyone was got peace because they play football. They did that storyline. I think that was part of Peter Capaldi's last episode, kind of. So it's quite good at how they do these sort of things. Like you have the Titanic episode was a Titanic in space, and and it nearly hit the Queen's and nearly hit the Queen's place on Earth when you have all these good episodes, and they are the best ones. They're my most favorite ones. I rather them than the present day ones. The present day ones are quite boring, especially the Earthbound ones. I like it when it's in space or you've got it like a million years ago, or something.
Mm. I mean, with like Jodie's one with the ship one, I didn't really think it was too bad. Matt Smith one, I didn't remember as much, but with the David Tennant one, I definitely really think that was really interesting. But considering that the Titanic popped up on Doctor Who twice, but apparently the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, even though he wasn't on the Titanic, and I think the companion at the time was Sarah Jane Smith or Joe Grant. Oh no, not Joe Grant actually, it was Sarah Jane Smith. The Doctor actually kept a newspaper reel of the announcement of when the Titanic sank on in the TARDIS on a wall frame, and that's how it was first mentioned. But when it came to the reboot and with David Tennant, I remember watching it and I thought that was really, really interesting. But then just around like that same time, even today, it's very controversial, especially with Titanic historians, because the last survivor of the Titanic disaster, who was living at the time, Milvina Dean, she said it was really disrespectful to commemorate people who have died. And I think some of the historians and the Titanic fans, they get a little bit annoyed by it, and in terms of like the storyline of it, which I can understand, because even though it's like fiction, really, and I don't know other words to put it really, because it is a good episode, but it's very controversial at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It's hard because like you say, it's a show about fiction, and that was like the Titanic happened, and I guess like they didn't it didn't sink. I guess why maybe they get upset because they stopped it in time, and as in it's in this particular episode, it's I think going to the sun, not it's sinking to the sun. I think but it's hard because like it's a good episode. You got Kylie Minogue in it. At the time, I didn't realise it was Kylie Minogue. She looked completely different. But I think that was Christmas episode as well. The Christmas episodes are the good ones. So they are good. But I understand why people get annoyed. I think everyone get annoyed about an episode. Maybe that's people are still alive for it. It's hard. It's hard to watch it, I guess.
With some bits as well, especially with the historical parts, it's always going to be controversial, and they're always going to have mixed reviews about it, whether it's good or if it's bad. But I think nowadays storylines are just storylines, especially if there was a ship disaster. But it's going to always be I would like to think as a floating, sinking sort of like opinion on it. I don't know if it was the right thing to like say, but it's kind of like how I describe it. But it's definitely going to be one of those moments really. You think, okay, I can either love it or you can feel like, okay, is it a bit disrespectful in some way? But
Hmm.
people just like have different opinions on it, really. Because I know your opinion, Mason. You said it was your favorite episode, and I think it's a great episode, despite like just having a connection with the disaster. But it's going to be hard to explain what future ship episodes will be like as well, because it might be the same, it might not. Who really knows?
Yeah, yeah. I liked it because it was a different episode. Like the main focus of the episode isn't really the Titanic, what actually happened. The main focus of the episode is these host monsters in a Titanic ship, which I guess the main focus isn't the Titanic and stuff, but like I guess at the time they weren't thinking about that. Like people who decided to do the episode, they were thinking about maybe we'll have a historical event and then make it about someone else or something. But well, they had a really good. David Tennant had a really good kind of speech in that episode as well. But yeah, like you say, but every episode there's going to be people who don't like it, people who do. Um, but yeah, I guess it's really hard. Um, like for example, I know it's off topic, but like you know that Jeffrey Dahmer thing on Netflix. There are some people still alive now after the events of that, and they're not too happy about it going on Netflix. I guess you can that relate to that in a way. It's like anything, isn't it? It's like if something's happened to you, you're going to be really annoyed about it. You're going to be really annoyed that's gone on Doctor Who, or that documentary's gone on Netflix, which people when it was Halloween, people were like going as the costume of Jeffrey Dahmer, which isn't it's not great. It's not good, but it's similar there where things happen to people, and I guess people who make it or produce it don't think.
Even though we've touched on like the past episode as much, do you want to share a little bit about like the Black Pearl episode? Because it's one of your other favorites. I don't know what bits that you remember from it, Mason, because I know you've mentioned it a few times as well when I actually did two Doctor Who collabs with you at like one point, really, because I think I remember you mentioned the Black Pearl a lot.
Well, the black spot, you mean?
Yeah, Black Spot, that's the one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
keep thinking it's a Black Pearl.
Oh yeah. Well, that was basically an episode on a ship. I think it was pirate kind of episode. It was, and like if you get scraped or someone has their sword and they scrape you, you're cursed with the black spot. Where this siren comes to, people think they're gonna kill you, but they actually heal you. The siren heals you and takes you to a hospital. That I'm not sure what the history was about the episode. Like it was on a ship. Like you had a Matt Smith episode where it was in a submarine. Um, I'm not sure these particular episodes have history behind them, like real events. But I guess it'd be nice to look into if there was a certain event about it. Like I think like with there was a Rosa Parks episode which wasn't a ship episode. But I guess if people were still alive because of those events, they wouldn't be too happy either. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I did like that episode. Probably one of Jodie Whittaker's best episodes.
Oh yeah, I think that was the best ones that I actually watched, but before it just went all downhill really, which is
Mm.
a kind of a shame really, because it did have potential, but then it just ruined it really from like the stuff really. But of course there were rumors that when Jodie left, Doctor Who was going to be scrapped completely until Russell T Davies came back on to save it. And because of this now, but then also with David Tennant actually coming back on as the 14th Doctor. I'm still waiting for that plot because it is still confusing, but I'm thinking there's some really confusion going on here with the regeneration process. But when we get to, what's his name? Chichi Wilder? I can't really pronounce his name.
Jodie Gatwa.
Chidi Gatwa, that's it. But with Chidi Gatwa coming on next year, I always tend to think what's Russell got planned in store for each storyline, because when I thought about it, I just thought if they had to include some history stuff, including maritime history, I wonder what he's going to include because it could be anything. And Russell T Davies, he did a lot of great history episodes, better than any other of the Doctor Who writers, apart from the Rosa Parks episode. And
Yeah.
if you actually thought of a ideas episode for the series, what would your idea be in terms of maritime history, like ideas for a storyline?
I would like maybe a Black Death or something like that, like a plague that's happened in the past. I would say do a pandemic one, but I don't want to because it's still here at the moment. Maybe if like a years in the future it was completely gone, but yeah, maybe the Black Death. Like you had something like that. Um, I know Ncuti Gatwa wants to face the Beast, who David Tennant faced, which was It was interesting because he got asked who do you want to face or like in your series, which is it's very interesting. And of course he got his new everyone saw his new his new costume that he's gonna be wearing a couple of days ago. So it's very exciting to see
Mm.
what happens. But yeah, I would like some history episodes. I think Russell will do some history episodes as well because he going back to David Tennant's first series and Crystal Eccleston because he only did he did David Tennant's episodes and the Crystal Eccleston one, and Crystal Eccleston had a fair few history episodes. Um, and yeah, I've got faith Russell will do really well with that. Like he done um he's on Queen Victoria. He's on I think he's done Charles Dickens. He's done all those kind of episodes, and I guess if you think of a memorable historical person, he will pick that. So you don't know, he might be Henry VIII or something. I don't know. Um,
Do you know what? I was thinking about that the other day, and I was kind of like, if they got back to the Tudor times, which wife out of the six wives would they pick? I would probably imagine it will be Anne Boleyn.
yeah, it's hard to remember all of them, isn't it?
It's definitely hard to remember all of them, but I just thought if it was Henry VIII's wives, I bet Anne Boleyn will be the first one.
Yeah,
But
it's gonna be interesting.
it's probably going to be sad though, because they might show the execution and all of that in the trial, so that might be a sad one.
I
But
don't know if they would. I don't know. Like it'd be interesting if they did, but I wouldn't think they would.
you just never know what's like going to happen. But in terms of like maritime wise, really, I had like a little bit of a feeling they will either include like ships from World War One, like the Britannic, because the Britannic was a hospital ship during World War One, and that would be kind of interesting to see what it would be like on a hospital ship, or probably one that's mentioned like the oh, what was it? Like just something like not the Titanic, but something else from way before, another famous ship which I can't really think of mind of. It may come back to me, it may not. But I was quite kind of wondering if they were going to be filming a ship that's modern, I can imagine really that they might get like one of the Cunard cruise liners to come on board to do a bit of filming. But you just
Maybe.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with their new liner coming out, the Queen Anne as well. So that if it happens, that would be perfect timing. Like,
You have so many different, I guess, locations you can go to visit, or like hi historical places that things that have already happened. So they could go to a certain place, um, or something. Maybe like you should write to Doctor Who or something, says because you know quite a lot about history. So give us some
oh,
ideas.
so like I'm requesting to actually write the script for some of them. Russell T Davis, please hire me.
Yeah, why not?
Well, of course, though, Mason, because you've actually done cosplay on Doctor Who on TikTok as well, and I know that you always mentioned that you've always wanted to play the Doctor.
Yeah, I do like doing that. Um, like as we record this, I mean, I want to do some more for Christmas, um, Christmas and stuff. I guess that's another special interest of mine. I never knew it was until 2020, but I and then it went on, and then I was able to buy David Tennant's kind of stuff, and now he's the 14th Doctor. It's annoying because you got to try and get clothes that maybe look like it because he hasn't the official stuff won't come out until he's actually I think been on and played and Doctor Who knows certain clothes and stuff. But it's always annoying when you like to do the cosplay and stuff because if you like a new character, it's hard. But with Shooty Gatwa's new kind of costume, it's pretty simple for a lot of people if they did want to cosplay him, because like if a lot of people may just get a normal orange t-shirt which he's got and then just get potentially just a coat what he's got there. But yeah, it's I love doing it. I love going to the different locations, which I did this year, which I'm going to go again do next year. Because there's a fair few different ones I've got in my mind I want to go to. I think the top of the list will be a cafe that David Tennant and Bernie Cribbins, who played by Wilfred Mott, went to. So that's going to be really cool. Because of course he passed away this year, which was really sad. You know, when like a celebrity, I guess, passes away, I don't really get affected by it, but because it was someone that had a quite impact, even though he wasn't in a lot of episodes, but like it had a good impact in it and stuff. Which he'll be in. I think it's going to be in the Doctor Who next year. For it's good to see that his last appearance was in Doctor Who of his life. So th- that'd be nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it's always important just to get like people in, really, even though if they're long gone. It's always nice to have their memory shared, really. And of course, with such iconic characters, really. And I know that's the case with Elizabeth Sladen in the Sarah Jane Adventures as well.
Yeah, like she's a good person. Like I went to like the house that they actually did the Sarah Jane Adventures in early this year, which was really good. Like it was good to be able to go there and stuff. And it's just a shame because I think she would have still been involved in Doctor Who now if she was still here. Like with the 60th being next year, or this year. And like I think she would even been involved in Jodie Whittaker's last episode as well. But yeah, like it's good that like people was able to say goodbye to her after and everything, which was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always like nice just to have that opportunity, really, just to say goodbye and all of that as well. And it is quite sad when one door closes and another one opens, really, but that's life.
We all have to. It happens to everyone at some point, but like when it's someone you really care about, or even a person that you just really adore watching, it's hard to see that and stuff. But there's always new. Like that's the thing about Doctor Who. Everything changes all the time, so it's good when they do that. So it like they had the Sarah Jane Adventures, which was really good. Um, but they honoured her memory for not continuing that. They could have if they wanted to, I guess. They had they could have people who did it, but no one could take the place of Sarah Jane. So I think they stopped that, which was good because I think all them around that do Big Finish sometimes, like audio. So they're still involved in it in ways. But yeah, it's good that they honoured her memory.
Yeah, I definitely think Doctor Who and history, and then whether the people play a part in it as well, it's always going to be interesting and engaging as well, because that's what Doctor Who is all about, being engaged. And it's that it's I always said this, like I know I said this before, but I always think it's not only entertaining, but it's so educational as well. I mean, I really didn't think of that for a bit, but I thought, okay, I've learned something from that in the few history episodes.
Yeah, the only thing I would always say about the Rosa episode they did that there's no need to have a villain in that episode because the racism was the villain. So they ruined that really by it was a good episode, but they just made another like, I think another history character in the episode. They made them the villain, or they made someone else the villain when they didn't need to. But yeah, I think they should do that sometimes. Just make the history the main kind of plot rather than having a villain in it.
That's definitely a good shout out, actually. I definitely quite like that. And then also, I think we're going to probably wrap up in a little bit, Mason, because I know with Doctor Who, I know we got so much to talk about, but I know that we definitely have to do this another time. But to end the video, Mason, what would be your dream episode in the near future for Doctor Who if you could choose anyone? It doesn't have to be history, it could be space, or it could just be like a random story.
What I would like to happen is if like the Doctor went back to see Madame de Pompadour and changed the future where like because in the episode they went through and she died and he was too late. I would like to them to go back to that time and where they could see each other and he goes through the time window where she is there and they can go into the TARDIS with her. I would like there to be an episode like that because one it's my favorite episode. And like earlier in the year, I had a photo in the actual like in a scene in the episode, which is one of my favorite scenes. Um, but yeah, I would love them to do that. I don't think they will because they've already done it. But who knows? That'll be my episode in the future. It probably won't be David Tennant though. I'd ideally love it to be him, but if it was Shooty, I would love that too, because I guess they remember the past. But yeah, that would be my ideal episode.
Oh, it's really nice, really. I know I can name so many of them, but I think that with the Madame Pompadour, I'm definitely going to go with this one because I think that's the best answer I've ever heard, really. Not just in Doctor Who, but with history as well. But you just never know, really, who knows. But I definitely know another time we're going to have to get you back on, Mason, because I know that we've got like lots to talk about, and most history fans are Doctor Who fans as well. So we definitely need to get you on in the near future as well. But it was nice to like actually catch up with you again then, Mason. And yeah, I cannot wait to do like another one sometime. It was really, really good.
For Frank says it, I've had a really nice time.
Oh, you're welcome anytime. And where can everyone find you? Is there any links that you want to leave, like your YouTube channel, your TikTok, podcast?
Well, my for anyone who likes Doctor Who, my TikTok is Doctor Who cosplay life, and I have an Instagram, a Doctor Who Instagram that is Doctor Who is the life, and a Doctor Who Facebook page that's the same. Doctor Who is the life, and like my kind of work I do about Crohn's and autism and podcasting is Autistic Advocate for Crohn's, and that's the same on YouTube as well. And I have a Facebook page called My Journey with Crohn's Disease. So that's where you can find that. And if you want to listen to my podcast, it's called the Crohn's and Autism Awareness Advocate. Where sometimes I talk about Doctor Who, and actually this year for this Christmas episode of 2022, I was able to get an actor from Doctor Who on this year, so it was really fun, and yeah, it was really fun to speak to an actor from Doctor Who, which I try to do once every year, at least Christmas time. I will get one. And last year I had Dorian. And this year, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but because you have to find out on is that comes out on Christmas Day, for 2022. So yeah, that's where you can find.
Oh, spoilers, as Ruben would say. But I know that even though it was uploaded already, I will leave a link in the description box down below when it comes out as well. But it's going to be so exciting. And we definitely need to talk about on that as well, because we need all the Doctor Who gossip and the history gossip we can ever get as well. But yeah, so Mason, thank you so much for coming on. And definitely we've got to have you back very, very soon. And once again, thank you so much to everyone who's watched and enjoyed and listened. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And head over to Mason's channel, give him a video thumbs up on podcast and YouTube, and subscribe down below as well. And until then, we will catch you very later. Take care, everybody. Bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe for more historical content. Until next time, this has been History Inside a Nutshell, Departing from the Docks. Thank you so much for all of your support, and enjoy the rest of your voyage.